A cold wind cut through the streets of London as Prince William's car rolled to a quiet stop. Just another day, another royal duty. But what he saw that morning would flip his world upside down. There, huddled beneath a thin blanket outside an old building, was his bodyguard. The same man who'd taken bullets for him, run beside him, stood tall beside the crown, now sleeping rough, with no roof, no home. At first, it didn't make sense. But the truth behind how he ended up there, that truth was darker than anyone expected. And what happened next? Even Prince William wasn't ready for it. The bond between royalty and protector. Prince William has always been admired not just for his royal title, but for his calm, grounded personality. A part of this comes from the people around him, the loyal staff, friends, and especially the men and women who protect him every single day. Among them was one man who had been by his side for over 7 years. A bodyguard. But not just any bodyguard. This man had a history of serving the country in ways few could understand. Before joining Royal Protection, he had served in the Special Air Service, also known as the SAS, one of the most elite and demanding units in the British military. Before that, he had been a respected police officer. He had seen war, danger, and loss. He was highly decorated and known for his calm nature, quick thinking, and deep sense of duty. Yet, despite all his achievements, he never looked for attention. He blended in with the crowd, always alert, always ready. To Prince William, he became more than just security. This was someone who had shared dozens of international trips with him, helped him during tense moments, and always kept things under control, no matter how chaotic the world outside became. They had built a quiet bond, not one based on many words, but built through trust. He had always been there, during speeches, behind the palace gates, walking a few steps behind, but never far away. But after years of working together, Prince William began to notice something unusual, the subtle signs. Something was wrong. At first, the changes were easy to overlook. The bodyguard started showing up just a few minutes late. Nothing drastic, but for someone known for being early, it felt off. His face looked more tired. His eyes were sunken, his shoulders just slightly lower than usual. His shoes, always perfectly clean, now looked scuffed and worn out. Then came the silence. The man who would normally greet the prince with a respectful nod and a short comment now barely spoke at all. If asked how he was doing, he would simply reply, "All good, sir," and quickly move on. He avoided eye contact. He didn't join the team during breaks. He sat alone, often looking lost in thought. Prince William grew concerned. He wasn't someone who ignored feelings, especially when it came to people he respected. He began to pay closer attention. One night, after a long event, William happened to glance out the window and saw the bodyguard sitting in his parked car for hours. He wasn't on duty. He wasn't talking to anyone, just sitting there, alone. Something wasn't right. The shocking discovery. Wanting to respect his privacy, Prince William didn't push. Instead, he quietly asked one of his most trusted aides to check if everything was okay. The answer shocked him more than he ever imagined. The report came back. The bodyguard was homeless, not temporarily displaced, not just struggling. He was actually living out of his car. A series of heartbreaking events had left him with almost nothing. A divorce had taken most of his savings. Then came the sudden illness of a parent, which drained the rest. He had refused to ask for help. He had kept working, kept showing up, kept protecting others, because that's who he was, a protector, even when he had nothing left for himself. Prince William was speechless. He sat quietly after hearing the news, trying to process what he had just learned. This wasn't just a colleague. This was someone who had literally stood between him and danger countless times. Someone who had dedicated his life to serving and protecting. First the nation, and now the royal family. And now, that same man was sleeping in a car. A royal response, filled with compassion. William didn't waste a moment. He asked to meet the bodyguard privately, not as a prince, but as a person. No cameras, no staff, just the two of them. The bodyguard hesitated at first. He was clearly uncomfortable talking about his situation, but eventually, he opened up. "I didn't want to be a burden, sir," he said quietly. Those words hit William hard. He knew that pride, that strong sense of duty. But he also knew that no one deserved to suffer in silence, especially not someone who had given so much. So, he acted. He arranged for the man to stay in a private, safe residence, comfortable but discreet. No questions asked. He personally reached out to veteran support organizations and quietly got the bodyguard, connected with financial, legal, and emotional support. Everything was handled with complete privacy. William made sure of that. He didn't want to embarrass the man or make a public statement. He just wanted to help. And slowly, the bodyguard began to breathe again. Not just because he had a roof over his head, but because someone had seen him, really seen him, and cared enough to step in. The hidden story no one knew about. But just as things were settling down, another part of the story came to light. A few days after receiving help, Prince William learned something even more incredible. The bodyguard hadn't just been quietly suffering. He had been using his limited money to support a small group of other ex-servicemen, men like him, who had slipped through the cracks. He had been buying them food, warm clothes, and even helping them get to job interviews. Sometimes, he chose to go hungry so someone else could eat. Sometimes, he slept in his car so another man could stay in a shelter bed. He never told anyone, not even his closest friends. He was sacrificing himself so others wouldn't have to. Prince William was stunned once again. His respect for the man grew even deeper. This wasn't just someone who had served the nation in the past. He was still serving it, in the most selfless way imaginable. From suffering in silence to quiet hero. After hearing this, Prince William decided it was time to tell the story. Carefully, privately. He brought it up during a charity meeting focused on veterans' issues. He didn't use the bodyguard's name. He didn't share unnecessary details. But he spoke about the kind of heroism that goes unnoticed. About the sacrifices people make when no one is watching. The story moved people. Within weeks, donations to veteran housing programs rose. Private organizations reached out, asking how they could help. A quiet wave of support began to grow, not just because of the tragedy, but because of the quiet strength behind it. Eventually, word began to spread. The press got wind of the story, though most details remained hidden to protect the bodyguard's identity. But something else happened too. One of the largest veteran support charities in the country offered him a leadership role. They wanted someone who understood the struggle, someone who had walked the path, and who better than the man who had lived it, and still chose to help others along the way. He accepted the role, not for fame, not for attention, but to continue doing what he'd always done: protect others. The ripple effect. As the story quietly made its way through the public, people responded with overwhelming love and admiration. Social media was flooded with comments like, "This is the kind of hero we need," and "Thank you, Prince William, for seeing him." And through it all, William stayed silent. He didn't make any speeches or take any credit. Because for him, it wasn't about being a prince. It was about being human. Today, the bodyguard still works, just in a different way. Not behind a royal, but in front of dozens of veterans who need someone to lead with love, empathy, and strength. His story is a reminder to us all. Sometimes the strongest people we know are the ones hurting the most. Sometimes heroes wear no medals. They drive old cars, wear tired shoes, and sleep in silence. But when kindness meets courage, something beautiful happens. Lives change, hope returns, and the world becomes just a little more human. If you found this story as surprising as we did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable stories. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. You won't want to miss what happens next in this incredible journey.
You've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
Chaos erupts within the British royal family as Prince Andrew, Prince William and Prince Harry unite in an unprecedented legal showdown against King Charles. At the heart of this explosive feud lies a mysterious, long-hidden letter from Princess Diana, containing secrets that could shake the monarchy to its core. With the Supreme Court now involved, the battle threatens to expose untold truths and redefine the future of the British crown forever. King Charles, the monarch and the father. King Charles has spent nearly his entire life in the public eye, first as the Prince of Wales and now as the reigning monarch. But for all the royal engagements and ceremonial duties he's juggled, another big challenge has always been his role as a father. Charles's relationship with Prince William and Prince Harry has been shaped by tradition, public expectations, and the pressures of being next in line to the throne for so many years. As a father, Charles has sometimes been described as distant, though some insiders insist he tried his best, given the unusual environment his sons were raised in. Both William and Harry spent their childhoods under constant media attention, making a normal family life nearly impossible. As they got older, Charles needed to prepare William to one day inherit the crown, which meant possibly spending more time with William on future plans or official training. Harry, meanwhile, has pointed out in interviews and in his memoir, Spare, that he often felt like he came second to royal duty. This kind of criticism gives a glimpse into how hard it must have been for Charles to juggle fatherhood and duty. It's not just Charles as a dad that draws attention. He's also a brother. While there were always whispers about a certain rivalry between him and Prince Andrew, nothing was ever openly confirmed. In their younger years, Andrew seemed to relish a more carefree lifestyle, while Charles was tied to the idea that someday he would be king. Today, as monarch, Charles has had to deal with Andrew's controversies head-on. He's made decisions, such as limiting Andrew's involvement in public events, that reflect a need to protect the royal family's reputation. These moves can seem harsh, but they also reveal the heavy weight Charles now carries as the figurehead. When it comes to leadership, Charles's approach seems to mix tradition with a cautious openness to change. On the one hand, he's recognized for championing environmental causes for decades, long before it became mainstream. On the other, when it comes to family matters, he often seems to retain an old-fashioned reserve. While he might prefer to keep personal issues private, the modern media landscape has made that nearly impossible. People want to know how he really feels about Harry relocating to another country, or Andrew stepping away from public life in disgrace. Still, being king demands that Charles think about the monarchy's future above all else, which can conflict with personal connections. He must put the institution first, a dilemma that can strain his relationships. William appears cooperative, probably because he's aware he'll inherit that same responsibility. Harry's decision to walk away suggests he felt too constrained by it. Meanwhile, Andrew's troubles have forced Charles to act decisively to uphold public respect for the crown. Prince Andrew, the disgraced royal prince. Andrew was once seen as an energetic and sociable member of the royal family. Whether at fancy galas or charity events, he appeared comfortable and outgoing, carving out a public image as someone who enjoyed the perks and responsibilities of royal life. But that image took a massive hit due to his controversial links to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Andrew is often called a disgraced royal, a figure who stays mostly out of view while dealing with the fallout of past decisions. Andrew was born into a life of privilege as Queen Elizabeth II's second son. In that sense, he was the spare of his generation, a term sometimes used to describe a royal who isn't directly in line for the throne. This gave him more freedom than King Charles, who had to follow a strict path as the heir. Andrew's early years saw him serve in the Royal Navy, and he was even dubbed the party prince in the tabloids, partly because of his social circle and international travels. For a while, that easygoing image worked in his favor. However, once news broke about Andrew's friendship with Epstein, everything changed. Allegations and lawsuits arose, shining a not-so-flattering light on Andrew's personal judgment. The situation reached a tipping point when the prince gave a TV interview to clear his name. Instead, it made the public even more doubtful, leading to calls for him to step back from his royal duties. King Charles, concerned for the monarchy's reputation, supported a decision to limit Andrew's official roles. By the time Charles ascended to the throne, Andrew was already sidelined, effectively removed from the broader royal spotlight. Behind palace doors, Andrew's relationship with Charles has likely been strained by these events. Some say Andrew never felt fully supported by his older brother, even before the scandals. While there might have been sibling rivalry over the years, it's turned more serious now that Andrew is seen as a liability. Charles, as the reigning monarch, has no choice but to protect the crown's image, which means keeping Andrew at arm's length. Prince William and Prince Harry don't seem close to Andrew either. William, ready to step into bigger responsibilities, likely wants to dodge any scandals that reflect badly on the monarchy. Their interactions, if any, are probably very formal now. Harry, on the other hand, stepped away from royal life for his own reasons, and it doesn't appear that he's embraced Andrew in any significant way. So Andrew, once a fixture in royal photographs, has slipped into the background, rarely seen at public events, and often omitted from discussions about the monarchy's future. Prince William, the dutiful heir. Prince William is often praised as the dependable face of a modern monarchy. From the time he was a boy, the world has watched him grow up. He's seen triumphs, like his wedding to Catherine, Princess of Wales, and tragedies, including the loss of his mother, Princess Diana. Through it all, William has been groomed to take the throne after King Charles, meaning his every move is viewed through the lens of a future monarch. Being the heir shapes William's day-to-day life and how he relates to other family members. He carries himself with the seriousness expected of someone who will eventually wear the crown. This mindset sets him apart from Prince Harry, who famously sought more freedom away from royal duties. William, on the other hand, tends to follow the established script, attending official engagements, focusing on charitable causes, and supporting his father's reign. In public, he projects calm and stability, traits that make him popular with many Brits. Still, William's bond with King Charles isn't without its stresses. They share a common goal of protecting the monarchy, but they might not always see eye to eye on how to handle family issues. For instance, dealing with Prince Andrew's controversies or Harry's revelations can stir up strong opinions. Some watchers say William plays a key role behind the scenes, encouraging Charles to be firm in order to maintain the monarchy's image. In this sense, William acts as both a supportive son and a partner in guarding the crown. Of course, one of the most talked about aspects of William's life is his complicated relationship with Prince Harry. They used to be seen as inseparable, the two young royals who helped each other cope after Diana's passing. But recent events, like Harry stepping down from senior royal duties and moving to the United States, have put a lot of distance between them. Add in Meghan Markle's presence, bringing in her own experiences, media attention, and viewpoints, and it becomes clear that William and Harry inhabit very different worlds now. Harry has vented frustrations about palace life and family dynamics, while William has mostly stayed quiet, which some see as proof of a significant divide. When it comes to Prince Andrew, William has taken a hard line. He wants the focus on essential royal duties and forward-looking efforts. Scandals like Andrew's can pull the monarchy backward, damaging its public image. William is well aware that one day he'll have to keep the institution strong, so he has supported the decision to limit Andrew's public roles. This stance shows how William is mindful of public opinion and the long-term health of the monarchy. Prince Harry, the rebel royal prince. Harry has long been known as the Spare, a label often used for royals who aren't first in line for the throne. Growing up, he saw his older brother, Prince William, groomed for the role of future king, while he enjoyed slightly more freedom. He was viewed as fun-loving and less burdened by rigid expectations. That spare tag may have shaped Harry's personality, making him more open to new experiences and quicker to step away from palace traditions. Over the years, Harry's relationship with his father, King Charles, has become a focal point of public interest. In his memoir, Spare, Harry talks about feeling overlooked or not fully understood. He refers to certain moments when he wished Charles had been more supportive or involved on a personal level, rather than focused on the weight of royal duty. At times, Harry's words paint a picture of a father-son bond that might still be mended, but only if both sides put in serious effort. While some see the tension as permanent, others believe reconciliation could happen if they find common ground and keep it away from the media spotlight. Harry's biggest falling out, however, seems to be with William. Once a tight pair, The two princes shared a special connection after losing their mother, Diana. But as adults, their paths split sharply. Harry recounts feeling that his interests and personal concerns didn't matter in the grand scheme of royal life, while William shouldered a huge sense of responsibility as the heir. The arrival of Meghan Markle introduced another layer of change. Harry felt a need to protect Meghan from what he viewed as unfair treatment, while William and others in the family may have seen the press coverage simply as part of royal life. The result was a deeper rift that Harry has publicly acknowledged in interviews, saying he's sad about the distance between them. What about Prince Andrew? Technically, Harry and Andrew have both been labeled spares at different points in history. Does that give them a bond? If so, it doesn't show up much in public. Andrew's scandal has forced the royal family to keep him on the sidelines. Harry hasn't openly aligned himself with Andrew, suggesting that rather than bonding them, Andrew's troubles may have nudged Harry even further away from the traditional royal fold. After all, Harry left on his own terms, not because of scandal, but because he felt the system itself no longer worked for him. William and Harry, brothers divided. Prince William and Prince Harry once seemed inseparable. After losing their mother, Diana, at a young age, the two brothers leaned on each other. They attended events together, joked around in interviews, and looked like a tight team, trying to manage the pain of growing up in the public eye. For a while, many people saw them as a heartbeat of the royal family, fresh, relatable, and united in their shared experiences. Over time, though, cracks began to show. Some say the first hints of tension sprung up around the time William got married. Harry, for years, was the fun younger brother, but he started feeling like a bit of a third wheel as William's focus shifted to building his own family life. Things escalated further when Harry met Meghan Markle. Her entry into royal life brought a whirlwind of press coverage. While some praised her modern style, others fiercely criticized her or questioned her motives. Harry felt protective, but William advised caution, wanting Harry to slow down and think about the challenges of such a high-profile union. When Harry stepped back from his royal duties, affectionately dubbed Megxit by the media, the divide became obvious. The two brothers hardly appeared together, and rumors of heated arguments surfaced. Harry's public remarks about the institution being stiff and unwelcoming clashed with William's sense of duty. William, as the next in line after King Charles, focused on upholding the crown's image, while Harry wanted personal freedom and a simpler life. Their differences in approach turned into a full-blown separation. Both physically, Harry moved abroad, and emotionally. Is reconciliation possible? Some observers believe time heals all wounds. They point out that the brothers still share deep memories of Diana and a love for charity work she inspired in them. If they can reconnect on those grounds, they might find a path back to brotherly respect. Others think the damage runs deeper because Harry has been open about feeling unsupported, while William might view Harry's criticism as a personal betrayal. It might take years, major apologies, or even more changes within the monarchy before they find solid forgiveness. Public perception of William and Harry is equally split. Many in the UK see William as the dutiful heir, carefully preparing for future kingship. He's seen as reliable, steady, and respectful of tradition. Harry, on the other hand, often seems like the opposite. Outspoken, willing to criticize family norms, and determined to carve out his own destiny. Some applaud Harry for bravely speaking his truth, while others think airing the family's dirty laundry is harmful and unfair to those left behind. In the end, the story of William and Harry is a complicated blend of shared trauma, differing responsibilities, and personal choices. For spectators, it's a real-life drama unfolding in front of cameras and tabloids. For the monarchy, it's a thorny issue that raises questions about how younger generations can adapt, or clash with, an institution steeped in tradition. Whether they can rediscover their old bond is anyone's guess, but their journey is sure to remain in the spotlight for years to come. Charles and Andrew, at odds. As children of Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles and Prince Andrew grew up in a family that ran on tradition and duty. But they didn't share the same role. Charles was the heir, carrying the weight of future kingship, while Andrew was free to define his own path as the second brother. Some watchers believe this set the stage for a quiet rivalry that simmered for decades, even if it rarely made headlines. In their younger years, Andrew enjoyed a more relaxed image. He served in The Royal Navy went on playful excursions and was labeled the party prince by some tabloids. Charles, meanwhile, was constantly reminded that he would inherit the crown. The difference in responsibilities may have led to tension. Charles had to be careful with appearances and public statements, while Andrew didn't face the same level of scrutiny, at least not until later. Those who have observed the family suggest Andrew may have felt overshadowed and sometimes sought ways to stand out. The real problems arose when Andrew became linked to controversies, especially the scandal involving Jeffrey Epstein. This put the monarchy in a tight spot because the public expected some form of accountability. Charles, who eventually took the throne, found himself in the uncomfortable position of balancing brotherly ties and royal duty. As king, Charles can't ignore negative public opinion, especially if it involves allegations that harm the monarchy's image. So, Andrew was sidelined, stripped of many titles and public roles. Some insiders say Charles didn't relish doing this, but saw no other way to protect the crown's reputation. Under Charles's leadership, Andrew's role slid into a state of uncertainty. While Charles hasn't outright disowned his brother, he has made it clear that Andrew won't be part of the monarchy's main operations. It's a practical choice. Many people feel Andrew's presence could do more harm than good at official events. The question remains whether Charles has any plan to rehabilitate Andrew's image over time, or if he believes it's best to keep his brother out of the spotlight for good. Rumors swirl about private family discussions, but nothing concrete has emerged to show an effort to pull Andrew back into the fold. This situation points to a bigger issue. How does a royal family handle internal scandals when the modern world demands accountability? For Charles, the line between sibling solidarity and institutional duty has become blurred. He can't risk the monarchy's reputation by openly defending Andrew, but also can't erase him from the family tree. The result is a careful, if strained, relationship that reveals the human side of royal life. They may have grown up with the same parents and traditions, but their roles diverged long ago, and those differences only grew when Andrew's controversies came to light. Diana's legacy. In family relationships, Princess Diana was more than just the mother of William and Harry. She was a global icon. Even decades after her tragic death, her influence remains a powerful force in the royal family's story. She brought a sense of warmth and openness the monarchy wasn't used to, shaping how many people view William and Harry today. From her charity work to her candid way of speaking, Diana left an unforgettable mark on her sons, which has continued to shape their decisions and relationships. Diana's biggest impact is seen in how William and Harry carry on her sense of empathy. Both men often mention their mother when discussing charitable causes, mental health, and the importance of being accessible to the public. In some ways, this has led them to approach royal life differently than older generations. For William, it means combining tradition with a more down-to-earth vibe, like his mother once did. For Harry, it sparked a strong need to protect his own family from the same media intrusiveness Diana endured. One can't help but wonder how things might have turned out if Diana were still alive. She may have acted as a mediator, healing rifts before they got too big. Some suggest she would have supported Harry's desire for a more private life, while also encouraging William to understand his brother's perspective. Without Diana, the brothers lost a unifying figure who could bridge the gap between them and, perhaps, cushion their differing needs. It's impossible to know for sure, but the what-if looms over their strained relationship. Diana's legacy also touches King Charles in a complicated way. Their marriage was famously troubled, and many people still link Charles to Diana's heartbreak. Even as king, Charles faces a public that continues to adore Diana. Sometimes this perfect memory of her overshadows how people view him now. While Charles is keen on modernizing the monarchy and focusing on his own priorities, he can't fully escape comparisons to the people's princess. Anytime conflict arises with his sons, some spectators recall Diana's past struggles and wonder if history is repeating itself in a different form. The public's perception also factors in. Diana was charismatic, and her warmth drew people in. William and Harry each carry a piece of that into their public roles. But the lasting memory of Diana also reminds folks of the difficulties she faced, from media harassment to personal stress inside the palace. As Harry has aired his grievances, many fans of Diana see him as following in her footsteps, calling out what he views as an unkind system. Others believe Diana would have urged him to remain within the fold, finding a gentler way to handle disagreements. In the end, Diana serves as a guiding light and a complicated legacy for this royal family. Her influence is clear in how William and Harry approach their roles and in how the people view Charles's leadership. Though she's gone, her spirit continues to shape family ties, providing both comfort and a reminder of unresolved issues. Everyone in the family seems to keep a piece of Diana with them, whether they focus on her compassion or the lessons learned from her struggles. Her memory remains a key part of the conversation, reminding us that the human side of royalty can leave the biggest impact of all. The Queen's effect on the family. Queen Elizabeth II led the British monarchy for over 70 years, a remarkable record that gave her a steady hand in dealing with countless family challenges. Throughout her reign, she maintained a strict sense of duty. She rarely showed open conflict when it came to personal matters, preferring to keep any tensions behind palace doors. Many believe her calm and consistent approach helped hold the family together during times that could have escalated into more public drama. Her influence was visible in how she guided her children and grandchildren. She had a knack for balancing tradition with small steps toward modernity, such as allowing television cameras behind the scenes at certain royal events. When crises occurred, like divorces, scandals, or disagreements, she often leaned on the old royal strategy of never complain, never explain. In many cases, it seemed to work. The public tended to see her as above everyday squabbles, which helped preserve a sense of stability for the monarchy. Now that the Queen has passed away, there's a sense of a vacuum at the top. King Charles has assumed the throne, but he doesn't command the same level of long-earned trust his mother did. Her death may have opened the door for underlying family issues to pop up more openly. With her steady presence gone, disagreements that once seemed manageable, like the tensions surrounding Prince Andrew's scandals or Prince Harry's departure, feel more raw and harder to contain. Some people wonder if she favored certain family members over others. Rumors have floated around that Prince Andrew was particularly close to her, possibly leading him to expect more leniency when his personal life attracted controversy. In contrast, Prince Harry has hinted that he wished for more direct intervention from the Queen when he and Meghan felt mistreated. The Queen herself never confirmed if she had favorites. Several royal observers argue that her level-headed stance allowed her to treat all family members with composure, even if they occasionally felt they weren't getting enough personal attention. Still, family dynamics can be complicated. While the Queen projected unflappable composure, each relative had a different kind of bond with her. Charles knew her as both mother and reigning monarch, balancing affection with formality. Andrew seemed to rely on her for emotional support when public criticism grew loud. William grew up aware he was a future king and formed a special connection with his grandmother, seeing her as a mentor. Harry often described her with great warmth, even as he broke away from the royal fold. Everyone had their own story when it came to the Queen. Without the Queen's quiet guidance, it's fair to assume the four central royals, Charles, Andrew, William, and Harry, have lost a central figure who could smooth over conflicts. In the Queen's absence, each must figure out how to handle issues that now fall fully on their shoulders. It remains to be seen if they can preserve the unity she worked so hard to maintain, or if the loss of her calming presence will continue to widen the cracks already showing in the family's foundation. As personal grudges, public scandals, and generational divides continue to shape the royal family, the question remains, can they find common ground? Or is this the beginning of a permanent fracture? The answer will depend on how open they are to change, compromise, and a willingness to leave old wounds behind. Whether they succeed or not will likely define the monarchy's role in a world that moves faster than ever. And for these royals, it's not just about saving face. It's about preserving a family unit that carries centuries of history, all while trying to stay relevant for generations yet to come.